former ICE agent who was apparently the whistleblower who exposed the internal memo wherein ICE was communicating to its operatives that it no longer had to abide by the Fourth Amendment and that they did not need judicial warrants to crash into people's homes. He is now a former ICE agent. He may have been at the time. His name is Ryan Schwenk. He was not in an official congressional hearing, but rather a hearing held by congressional Democrats. I think they get the meeting rooms. They don't have subpoena power, I don't believe, because they don't. They're not in the majority. But this is also a preview of, in the event that the Democrats take the House in the fall, we're going to be seeing a lot more of this type of thing, and they're going to be able to bring in witnesses who are going to be a little bit hostile. This one obviously wanted the opportunity to speak about what he saw.
I am here because I am duty-bound to report the legally required training program at the ICE Academy is deficient, defective, and broken. 5 months ago, I was asked to teach the law to new cadets at the ICE Academy in Glencoe, Georgia, where ICE is training its new, inexperienced recruits. I volunteered, those without law enforcement training, I volunteered to take on this assignment based on my experience in law enforcement oversight, including at the state and local level prior to my work with ICE. On my first day, I received secretive orders to teach new cadets to violate the Constitution by entering homes without a judicial warrant. For the last 5 months, I watched ICE dismantle the training program, cutting 240 hours of vital classes from a 584-hour program. Classes that teach the Constitution, our legal system, firearms training, the use of force, lawful arrests, proper detention, and the limits of officers' authority. For example, they ceased all of the legal instructions regarding use of force. This means that cadets are not taught what it means to be objectively reasonable, the very standard which the law requires them to meet when deciding whether or not to use deadly force. Our jobs as instructors are to teach them so well that they can make split-second decisions about what they can and cannot do in life or death situations. Yet, in the name of churning out an endless stream of officers, DHS leadership has dismantled the academic and practical tests that we need to know if cadets can safely and lawfully perform their job. All to satisfy an administration demanding they train thousands of new officers before the end of the year. DHS told the public that new cadets receive all the training they need to perform their duties, that no critical material or standards have been cut. This is a
lie.
This is important to understand. First off, we should say that the two ICE murderers that have the most acclaim, we know less about the other people who have been killed in ICE detention. But the two murders that would have been caught on videotape who work for ICE, both of them are longtime ICE employees. So they are not part of this next wave who have not even received even the training that the first guys who used excessive force did. But people should understand this. The way that we had the torture scandal during the Iraq invasion and subsequent to that was not that these soldiers were ordered to torture, although in some instances they got explicit green lights. But essentially what happened was all the shackles were removed. All of the discipline, all of the explicit warnings against torture, all the explicit orders against torture were removed. That's all it takes. And then just pressured to get results. And that's exactly the dynamic that we're seeing here with ICE. We're not going to give you any constraints. other than we need X amount of arrests and we need X amount of intimidation.
And X amount of officers to fill the large quotas that he's talking about, because it's instructive to view ICE not as a law enforcement agency that needs to have a certain number of personnel to do what it needs to do, but as a paramilitary force that backs up the fascist administration and is it's going to serve as an intimidating tactic at polling sites. I think we should anticipate that ahead of November, but also as just, a paramilitary force that can go onto the streets, brutalize citizens on behalf of the administration. He was a former instructor down in Georgia, this guy. He testified there that he was one of the 2 whistleblowers that received, that came out and said that they'd received those administrative, the secret orders regarding the administrative warrants, meaning we've spoken about this before on the show, but they call them administrative warrants. They're not a warrant. It's essentially a memo that says you can violate people's Fourth Amendment rights and go into their homes. Warrants have to be signed by judges, even the ones that are like, basically rubber stamped like FISA under the War on Terror. At least that had to be signed by a judge. It's not a warrant. They call it a warrant. It's not a warrant. And it just said, hey, you can enter private homes and violate the Fourth Amendment regardless, and made it so that those orders were only verbal. So there was no paper trail. I mean, they're obvious about how criminal this is. And then he mentioned there that basically ICE eliminated 240 hours from their mandatory 580-hour training program. And they specifically removed courses dealing with the use of force. So, and this is for the new recruits that we know they're culling from, essentially, Proud Boys and Patriot Front and all of the biggest MAGA supporters that are excited to sign up for ICE. Those are the people that receive the least amount of training. And to your most important point about this, the veterans of DHS and ICE still killed American citizens on our streets on video in front of everybody. So this should not be used to bolster the Cory Booker arguments in the DHS funding fight about more training and more body cameras. This should just underscore how horrible this new crop of ICE agents is going to be and what's coming ahead of us.
It also shows what the intention to use these. I mean, a lot of people wondered, why would you go to Minneapolis in the dead of winter? And obviously there was a compulsion to go there because you have a large Somali population. Donald Trump was really jazzed up about his racism was in high gear in terms of Ilhan Omar. Chris Rufo, the CRT guy, the big Republican operative, had already started to seed the story of Al-Shabaab, a terrorist organization tied in with the Medicare fraud story, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of things there. But from almost like a military perspective, invading the coldest region of the country at the coldest time of the year does not make a lot of sense unless you want to make the deployments that everyone else is going to have come the summer seem a lot easier. And so, summer they are aiming for the months from like May or June through the election. That is what's going on here. And so understand the lack of training is not because they're in a hurry. The lack of training is because they don't want these people to have constraints or any type of discipline that might come with training. So that's all deliberate. Meanwhile, one of the things, and we're going to be talking in a moment to Alexandra Avina about the historical context of what we're seeing in Mexico and what we're seeing go on right now after the killing of El Mencho, who was one of, if not, I think Mexico's most wanted man, and what we're seeing across large swaths of Mexico in terms of the Jalisco cartel striking back. one of the things we've seen from the right is them saying, like, this is what DHS is doing. It's keeping this element out of the country, which, of course, is absurd because we have seen ICE in action. And unless this cartel in Jalisco is made up of moms and dads and teenage kids, or people who are working on roofs or, trying to get day job, whatever it is, or American citizens for that matter. It's obviously not the same people, but they are so desperate to make this connection. Here is Senator Mike Lee. Let's just see Mike Lee's tweet first, if you can just zoom in on that one. What's that? It's in all of them, but I want to just focus on his tweet first, where he writes, okay, here it is. Mike Lee shows a picture of some Jalisco cartel wearing masks at a gas station, pouring gas on the ground, and then they ultimately light it. I've seen this video. It's pretty disturbing. But Mike Lee writes, cartel hitmen wear masks. Leftists aren't complaining. Now,
that's not the point I think you want to make, buddy.
well, and it's not the point he wanted to make.
So based.
And many senators not known for their crap posting were able to dunk on Mike Lee. But this shows like how this is a senator. It shows how twisted their mentality is. Put up this, let's do the series of it. Brian Schatz wrote in, Mike, I would like ICE to have the same standards as a local police department, not cartel hitmen.
I mean, to be fair to Schatz, he might be the best Senate poster of all of the Democrats, so he got him here up against base Mike Lee.
But even
Chris Murphy?
Yes. Oh, dear, Mike, I literally couldn't make our argument better than you do. The bad guys wear masks. The good guys don't.
And here's the big one.
And
Oh, buddy, retire, Mike Lee.
yes, cartel hitmen wear masks. That's why ICE shouldn't.
Man.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed it, says Chuck Schumer.
Oh, that's literally like getting knocked out by the smallest kid on the playground. You've got to change schools.
But even in that tweet, like, that's why ICE shouldn't. So maybe you guys should.
Suggestion.
Yes, like I feel I'm uncomfortable with them wearing
I don't want to
masks.
tell you how to live.
Exactly. It's like even in that moment, it's a.
Pull your pants up and take your mask off.
There's a softness to it.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.